Hello, beautiful light-skinned ladies and all of the beautiful exoticals who tune into this channel. Today, we're going to be talking about how to rediscover self-compassion as a light-skinned Black woman. We're going to be looking at the ways in which our culture is somehow juxtaposed to self-compassion, believe it or not. Yeah, it is. Especially for light-skinned Black women, we are discouraged from showing self-compassion. Okay, and this is actually a form of spiritual bypassing. In order to have compassion for other people, you do have to have some self-compassion. It's kind of like the adage that goes like, you can't love someone if you don't love yourself. So, what is a spiritual bypass? It's basically where you use spiritual ideas or practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks. So, self compassion is definitely a developmental task. And the lack of self compassion can stem from unresolved emotional issues that stem from traumas that we have experienced in life, and we're not giving it the healing that it needs. So, a lot of times when we see light skinned saviors basically de-selfing and not acknowledging the skin tone discrimination that they have faced or that other light skinned women have faced, it's because they have been brainwashed to not show self-compassion in that way. How dare you say that you love being light skinned, or that you actually like your skin, or you like the way that you look, or you do feel pretty. You do feel like you're a pretty light skinned Black woman. Okay, so these are forms of self compassion that are taboo in our community, and we're going to talk about that. It's a very important topic, and I don't want to get too deep on this, but it is a spiritual phenomenon. And, you know, a lot of us are somehow wanting to get some kind of spiritual enlightenment, whether if you're Christian or if you're even if you're atheist, because your spirituality doesn't have to center around like a higher power necessarily. No matter what your spiritual path is, most of us are kind of walking some type of spiritual path. And it's my belief that without self compassion, we won't have a stable foundation. And, any kind of progress that we make can really be undermined by that lack of self compassion. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, so who is this channel for? I do want to get that out of the way. This channel obviously is for light-skinned Black women. It's also for women who are thrown in and out of Blackness due to not being dark enough. That being said, we do not gatekeep light skin. We don't say, hey, you're not light skin, actually, you're brown skin. No, if you were thrown in and out of Blackness because you were not dark enough, then this channel is also for you. If you have any light-skinned daughters, this channel is for you. If you are mixed, you may be able to relate to some of the things that we talk about on this channel, and so you're welcome to engage with the content and comment. If you have a light-skinned sister, this may help you to understand her better. And if you're a light-skinned savior, this may help to deprogram some of the toxic, negative talking points that have been internalized and help you to get back on track towards loving yourself, everything about yourself, including your skin tone. This is also for anyone who's interested in understanding our perspective a little bit better. On this channel, we do not negate the reality of colorism. On this channel, we do not negate the reality of colorism. Colorism is absolutely real. Go ahead and check out my video that I did titled Light-Skinned Black Women Do Not Experience Colorism. What we experience is skin tone discrimination. which is protected against, or yeah, we have laws protecting us against skin tone discrimination within the workplace and the education system. Skin tone discrimination is basically when someone treats you unfavorably because of the color of your skin, whereas colorism is more so one directional. It used to have a more broader definition, but if you want to learn more, just go ahead and watch the video. So I hope this clears up any kind of misunderstandings. We're not negating anyone's experiences of colorism. Colorism is very real, and we don't necessarily have to claim colorism or reverse colorism to identify the skin tone discrimination that this country does protect us against. So I hope this makes anyone who may have had any misconceptions feel a little bit better now that you have this sense of clarity. And with that being said, I do want to reiterate that this channel is centered around the experiences of light-skinned Black women. So I won't be centering the experiences of colorism per se, not because I want to negate them or deny them, but because this space is about light-skinned Black women and our experiences. There are plenty of amazing colorism channels out there, like Chrissy, or like the Barbie Life 2.0. So if that's what you resonate with, definitely be sure to follow them. But there are also some channels out here that focus on light-skinned Black women's perspective, such as my channel, such as Shades of Resilience, such as Exoticals United, that talks about kind of pretty much everyone. Let's see, Golden Goddess, and then there's brown skin exoticals as well. So yeah, you have a plethora of options to choose from to understand some more nuanced perspectives on our experiences with skin tone discrimination and other things as either light-skinned women, exotical women, which exotical is not a race, but I'll make a video on that too, or mixed women. Okay, regardless of what your skin tone is. But again, this channel is about light-skinned Black women. And here are some more photos of light-skinned Black women just to give you a visual idea of who I'm talking about. Now, if you are a light-skinned Black woman and you want your phenotype, your specific phenotype to be represented on this channel, please send a photo or two of what you want to see on this channel if you are a light-skinned Black woman to my email. That is dulcekletters@gmail.com. Obviously, this photo has like a bunch of light-skinned Black women who have type 4 hair, but if you're one of the light-skinned Black women who identifies as monoracial, and you also have like a looser curl pattern, that's absolutely fine. You can send in your photos to be represented. This is just kind of the collage that I had been making, and this is, as you can see, I have type 4 hair. All right, let's get into this topic of self-compassion. So self-compassion basically has 3 elements. Those are mindfulness, warm kindness to the self, and common humanity. And go ahead and pause the video for the definitions, because we will be dissecting how the Black community does kind of interfere with our exploration of these 3 elements of self-compassion. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is that the predominant mainstream Black culture does discourage self-compassion, especially for light-skinned Black women. So in general, we do face this as Black women. We are insulted, we are made to feel ashamed for the way that we take up space in the world. Our weight is criticized. Our tone is always criticized, like we're always tone checked, or we're perceived as too angry or too masculine or not feminine enough or not Black male worshiping enough or too confident. Believe it or not, that's something that a lot of Black women get. But then when you're light skinned, this is just exacerbated in a lot of different ways. And I'm not saying that we have it harder. I'm just saying that it is exacerbated, and this is how it expresses itself when you're light skinned. You're told that you're very arrogant and that you think that you're better because you are closer to whiteness in your phenotype, or that you think that you're better because you're being fetishized, and that You know, if you don't prove your blackness, then you're a traitor to your community because, you know, you're light skinned. If you don't like if you don't like black guys, or if you don't like dark skinned guys, then you're colorist. If you do like dark skinned guys, then you're colorist. So there's a lot of things that we get that we are criticized for, and also for having like type 4 hair. I did a video about that as well, where Kendall Weaver is, you know, this famous basketball player, college basketball player, and like he's being dragged because he has super light skin and 4C hair, or you know, we're called ugly because we have more Afrocentric features on top of light skin. You know, so these are the ways that you know, we are humbled, and this is a form of humbling. This is all humbling tactics, okay? And so I want to show you some videos, basically exploring this humbling tactic that we face as Black women, and then specifically as light-skinned Black women. Okay, so I'm going to show you some videos that show examples of humbling Black women's experiences of being humbled, and also the humbling that we see happening that is being directed towards light-skinned Black women in particular.
The way that our society is obsessed with trying to humble beautiful women, in particular humble beautiful Black women, is really disgusting. And I have noticed that on my page, the more popular that I get, just the more men that will come out of the woodwork and try to hate on me. And let me just say this. Every time one of you tries to neg me, tries to call me ugly or stupid, it actually just reaffirms to me that I am that bitch. Keep it up. This comment was in reference to a video I made a couple of days ago where I was talking about the fact that I got into a graduate program. I got a full ride, I have a really prestigious fellowship, and I am really excited about it, and was just trying to celebrate that. People wonder why Black women are angry, why we are so tough. It's because you can't even expect to celebrate an accomplishment, have happiness, without somebody coming in and wanting to ruin it for you.
You know, people be like, oh my, you've done this, oh my, you've done, damn girl, look at your resume, like damn. And I don't be saying shit because I know I've seen it play out where it has made other people feel some type of way, you know, where they've gotten jealous, they've gotten so many other things, and it's for me, I've been like, okay, let me not, because I don't want them to feel that type of way. But at this point, I don't give a fuck how you feel. That's not on me. That's on you and your insecurity. So I'm going to talk my shit. I'm going to keep talking my shit. I'm going to do what I do, okay? Because at the end of the day, I'm really that girl. Like, I really am. Huh. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Attractive women ain't gotta do all that. They know this on YouTube so many times. I've stated that a lot of light-skinned women's confidence lies in darker skinned women feeling inferior. And then I extend that to non-Black women, period. A lot of non-Black women's confidence lies in Black women feeling inferior. And I know I'm not crazy because somebody else picked up on the same thing. And I'm sticking by this. To this day, I'm sticking by this. Maybe I'll change my mind in the future, but today ain't that day. Light-skinned women who are attractive are much less likely to be colorists than light-skinned women who are unattractive. And again, extend that to non-Black women. Non-Black women who are attractive are much less likely to be racist and uphold Eurocentric standards of beauty than non-Black women who are unattractive. I swear by that. I swear. I'm not just saying that to shut people up because, you know, a lot of times somebody be like, you ugly, just shut up. You know, that's not why I'm saying it. Let me explain why it is that I think this. An attractive woman is going to be attractive even without colorism or other Eurocentric standards of beauty. She knows that if colorism did not exist, if it just died right now in this moment, she would still be considered attractive because she's attractive. That's just that, right? But the dookie face hoes, they know that they ugly, and they know that the only reason anybody pretends that they not is because of colorism. So they understand that they need colorism, right? And again, extend that to non-black women. The doodle face ones, they know good and well that they ugly as hell, and the only reason anybody pretends that they are worth looking at in any capacity is because of Eurocentric, aka
I have seen personally.
Are the most educated. Not pretty. Yeah, light skin. Putting things like mixed or light skin in your social media handles or bio is very weird. It's not a niche and it should not be your personality. Perpetuating harmful rhetoric, really, with the key point being that you're mixed and you have natural autonomy, is weird. And
Okay, another comment that talks about their experience with a light-skinned woman, and you'll see some of the humbling tactic that I'm talking about in this comment. So this person says, I kid you not. I remember being in fifth grade and there was this super light-skinned girl named Pamela who would literally brag about her mom being white and her dad being black, talking about if you're that kind of mix, black man, a white woman, you'll come out looking like her. She had greenish eyes, loose curls, thin lips, etc., and a nose that was kind of wide, her only black feature, if you will. And she was so full of herself. Most of the black boys liked her, but she was always in the faces of the ones that didn't look twice at her. I guess trying to charm them into liking her. I swear, it's a pathology of some of these mixed people, even from being kids. Okay, so the commonality between all of these things is that there is humbling being used to lower a woman's confidence. Um, in the first couple of videos that we saw, some of it was about, the way that you look or the opportunities that you get, that you earn. So that's a form of humbling when people basically feel like, you need to just like tone it down a bit or you're being a little bit too arrogant about your accomplishments. And then when we take it to the humbling that's being directed towards light skin, that's taking the form of you think that you're pretty, you think that you're all that, you're too confident, you need to tone it down a bit. And the only reason why you feel confident is because you're comparing yourself to another group of people who are somehow not as beautiful. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not negating anyone's experience. Obviously, if someone is talking poorly about someone else's phenotype, that is wrong. So if you're out here saying that, this phenotype is terrible, like how Black women are doing with Francesca, who is going to be playing Juliet with Tom, the Spider-Man guy, there's something wrong with that. That's not right. That's futurist, it's colorist, all of those things. But in the videos that we listen to, and in this comment in particular, uh, we can't say for sure that there's a light-skinned woman basically saying that she thinks that she's better than a woman who has a darker hue or has less Eurocentric features and more African features. In fact, a lot of the times when we do have African features as light-skinned Black women, that's when we're called ugly. So yeah, I can do a whole video about this. But I want to touch on this a little bit in this comment. The reason why I don't see an issue with it is because she didn't say anything bad about anyone's phenotype. She's just saying that she likes the way that she looks. And this is a fifth grader. Like, we already know that young women, young girls, and young women face society's expectations very early, expectations about their weight, their appearance, what they should look like, all of those things very early on. And I think I came across a study that said that while boys only experience a certain amount of decreased self-esteem from going into high school and then graduating out of high school, girls experience a significant drop in self-esteem in comparison when you compare their self-esteem when they entered high school and their self-esteem when they graduated high school. So it's very important for girls and women of all races and of all skin tones to be uplifted and to be proud of the way that they look, be proud of their heritage, regardless of what someone else thinks. If someone else thinks that they're pretty or not pretty or whatever, it's very important for girls and women to be very confident. So there's nothing wrong with, like the lady was saying, and the you're not pretty, you're light skin, using mixed as your personality. I mean, there are a lot of Black people that make being Black their personality, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of white people who make being white their personality, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, some people are very heavily gridded into their identity, very heavily gridded into their phenotype and the way that they look. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that as long as they're not basically condemning another culture, another phenotype, another racial identity. So we don't do that here on this channel. We don't bash dark skinned women. We don't bash anyone, actually. So I don't think there's a problem with this that the light skinned girl said about her being mixed and her being proud of it and liking the way that she looks. But just take note about how this humbling tactic is basically used to attack a woman's image and use that to drag down her self-esteem. And even with the accomplishments approach, there's rhetoric going around about how, hey, did this light skin or mixed musician or actress actually earn her role, or did she only get it because she's light skinned? It's very similar to the talking point of, did this person only get this role because she's Black? It's very similar. Now, is colorism real? Yes, it's absolutely real. But to make the assumption that light-skinned women are basing our confidence on being picked or being preferred, that is interesting. I'll say that's interesting, and it's not anything that I can relate to. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, just saying I can't relate to it, and it sounds a lot like humbling, like you're trying to humble someone and basically tell them, you only got that because you're light skinned. Don't think that you're that talented. Don't think that you're pretty. So I guess we're just supposed to think that we're ugly and untalented. I'm not sure. But this is a humbling tactic, and you'll see why this goes against self-compassion's first element, which is mindfulness. We'll talk about that in the next slide. Okay, so let's talk about how humbling is a direct attack on your ability to be mindful. So when someone is trying to humble you, subconsciously trying to rob you of your ability to be mindful because they are not able to access that same mindfulness. Okay, and this is a really amazing definition of what mindfulness is. I absolutely love this, and this is an element of self-compassion. This is based off of the psychology. The psychologist work. I think her name is Kristen Neff, and also Dr. Christopher Germer. And then this came from a mindfulness website, like a mental health website. And it says that the mindfulness is basically the ability to separate or discern between what is a psychological drama or trauma in our head and what is existentially true. So, when someone basically tells you that the reason you feel pretty is because you think that light skin is better than dark skin, they are playing into a psychological trauma, a psychological drama. I'm not saying that there are not instances in our history or that there are not empirical studies that basically gave birth to these psychological traumas. But when someone basically projects those traumas onto you, they want you to play into it instead of just acknowledging what is actually true and objective and taking on a more mindful disposition where you actually understand yourself and you understand what you are feeling, what you are experiencing. Yeah, so people can be completely blindsided by this, and they can internalize these psychological dramas, and it happens to everyone, not just with light-skinned black women or black women. This is something that happens for all humans. We all fall for it, where we take the bait and we fall for a psychological drama or trauma that is playing out in our head, that is not happening in this moment. And so we can't even perceive the objective reality. So, what does this look like for us as light skinned black women? Well, remember, one of the humbling tactics was, hey, you're not that pretty, you're just light skinned. But a more mindful approach to, these talking points, or a more mindful exploration of how a light skinned woman perceives her beauty, could be this instead. I can choose my own beauty standard, and the source of what makes me feel pretty is no one else's business. It's no one else's burden to carry. And the reason for my feeling pretty isn't a victory for anyone, and it's not anyone's demise. What people think of me is none of my business. If they're colorist or if they have any kind of prejudices or biases and they're projecting that onto me, that is not a reflection of my character, but rather a reflection of theirs. So if there are media corporations and black men, etc., who are showing a preference to lighter skinned individuals, that does need to change. Now, within on an individual level, if someone is able to appreciate the beauty of light skinned women, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Where things go wrong is where you have systemic preference, and that's not something that light skinned women need to necessarily do anything about, unless it's going to come from a place of real activism or positivity. It definitely should not come from a place of, I'm not that pretty, I'm just light skinned. No, there's no need to become self denigrating or to make have a beauty standard that doesn't match how you look. There's no reason to do any of that in order to tackle any kind of social issues. Again, this channel is all about talking about our experience and healing any kind of traumas that we have experienced from skin tone discrimination or having internalized toxic narratives about ourselves as light skinned black women. So this is a mindful way to deal with that kind of programming. If you believe that your light skin is something that does make you beautiful, you're not comparing it to anyone else. You're just saying that you think that it's a beautiful trait of your phenotype. Just like someone can say that I think my caramel skin is beautiful, I think my chocolate tone skin is beautiful, etc. I think my type 4 hair is beautiful, or I think my straight hair is beautiful. So just because you're showing love to yourself does not automatically mean that you're hurting someone else. That is just an objective fact. Okay. What other people are doing, how other people perceive you, it's not your fault. It has nothing to do with you. That's their own stuff. Okay. Another way that our predominant mainstream Black culture, and you can see this here on social media, discourages self compassion, especially for light skinned women, is through gaslighting. And before I explain that, I do want to say that, you know, social media is an important part of life. I mean, it should not be separated from life. That's my personal opinion, because it kind of shows you what media people are consuming and taking a hold of. I mean, just look at our space. We've created a whole movement and we are healing each other. So it's very powerful and impactful and should not be minimized. Okay. So the mainstream Black culture that a lot of us have access to and that we are projecting out into the world does use gaslighting to discourage us from showing ourselves self compassion. When we hear things from other light skinned women saying, oh, well, that's not my experience. You know, I was never thrown in and out of Blackness. So what you're saying can't be true. Or, you know, light skinned girls were the ones who were bullying me, not the other way around. Something must be wrong with you. You know, you don't experience colorism, you experience bullying. Or that light skinned women are always treated better than dark skinned women. So there's no way that you were not uplifted as a light skinned Black woman in your community. So these are just a few examples. Also, the phrase light skin tears, basically saying, like, you know, you're a cry racial, you know, if you have admixture, or if you're mixed, or, you know, these are just catchy phrases and gaslighting phrases that are used to try to convince you to negate and deny the traumas that may have happened, or to try to get yourself to deny the skin tone discrimination that you may have faced as a light skinned Black woman. And I'm not saying that these people are lying about what they're saying. Like, none of what they're saying necessarily is a lie. We're not arguing the truth about it because that's their experience, that's their world perception. But where things go wrong is when they try to project that onto you as a light skinned Black woman after hearing your experience. It's just the invalidation is inherent gaslighting. It's obvious gaslighting. If I tell you that this happened to me, what gives you the right to say no, it didn't happen? You know, so it doesn't make any sense at all. And I may show some videos that, like, some short clips of examples of people gaslighting light-skinned Black women, but I don't want the video to be too long. We'll see if I have time for it. If I do, then I'll come back and you'll see it immediately following this slide. But you'll also see how this interferes with our ability to have self-compassion. Yeah, when you're gaslit, you may not be able to show self compassion to yourself. And let's see if you can guess which one of the elements of self compassion this goes against. All right, so maybe you guessed correctly. This gaslighting technique does go against common humanity, which is the second element of self compassion. If you're a light skinned Black woman out there watching this and you know that you have faced skin tone discrimination, or that you were treated poorly within your community or outside of your community because of your skin tone, I want you to know that it's not just you. And you do have a common humanity. I hope you don't feel or actually believe the talking points that something must be wrong with you, or that you can't see your light skin privilege, or that you don't experience any form of skin tone discrimination. Common humanity is recognizing that there are other people who have the same or similar experiences, and understanding that everyone experiences pain, and that no one is perfect and no one leads a trouble-free life. So this helps you to not feel so alone. And when you don't feel alone and you have a sense of connection, you can have self-compassion. This is another reason why on this channel I don't negate or try to debunk colorism, because that's another level of common humanity. Again, I do identify as a Black woman, so I'm not going to say that there are other Black women who are being discriminated against because they have a darker hue. I just created this channel because there's like a million channels talking about that, and like very few channels talking about the skin tone discrimination that we face as light-skinned Black women. All right, but that's why I don't do that, because I value common humanity, because it empowers me to show compassion to myself and, by extension, compassion to others. So again, just want to reiterate to anyone watching, you're not alone. Even though you may have been made to believe that you are alone or that something is wrong with you, there are many light-skinned women experiencing skin tone discrimination, especially like the older generations are finally like coming to light about what happened. A lot of them realize, like those that are in their 50s, they realize that they spent a lot of years cowering and making themselves small because they were light skinned, and they were not made to feel comfortable taking up space as a light skinned Black woman. If you have a bubbly personality, or if you are very artistic, or if you're very passionate about something and you also happen to be light skinned, a lot of times you will be made to feel that you are out of line and that you need to tone it down. Again, this goes back to humbling. And then, if you try to challenge it or speak up about it, you're told that, you're light skinned. What are you talking about? Like light skins are treated better than dark skinned people. So you don't have a common humanity. This is just you. You're an oddball. None of that's true. Welcome to this community. We all have experienced something along the lines of that. And then lastly, another practice that I see in our predominant mainstream culture is responding to slights, to social injustices, to mistakes that people make, specifically women and light-skinned Black women, that are very excessive in the amount of aggression that is used to address these issues. It's a lot of destructive energy. Okay, so I came across a Tyra Banks clip from one of her shows, where she's talking to this what I perceive as a caramel toned woman. Again, I don't gatekeep light skin, but she was talking about her experiences of being treated differently or being excluded because she wasn't seen as dark enough by the members of her community. And basically, Tyra invalidated her experience by saying that, why they don't treat you fairly? It's because of what happened 200 years ago. And I think that's very excessive and unjust. I mean, could you imagine what this country would be like if we didn't progress our laws or make amendments to our laws from 200 years ago, and we kept on upholding upholding the same laws that were around 200 years ago, or 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago? We wouldn't see much progress, and we would have an overflow of um, overwhelming injustice, because things change in culture, and that's just the truth. Things change and things evolve. So we can't hold on to terrible atrocities and traumas that happened hundreds of years ago, while also invalidating the current traumas that are currently being born in the modern times. Okay, so that's a misuse of our history. Another example of using excessive aggression, or being unreasonable when responding to past social injustices or current social injustices. I mean, if a light-skinned woman makes a mistake, or has engaged in some behavior that may have allowed her to be perceived as colorist, it's often met with a lot of aggression. I saw a lot of content creators celebrating Cassie's demise, Cassie's abuse. Because she's a mixed woman, they were saying, she's not that innocent. She knew what she was doing because she was trying to be hypergamous. And kind of echoes the talking points of like, oh yeah, this light-skinned woman or this mixed woman or this non-black woman got the same black man. And I think that's excessive in aggression because it celebrates someone's um, abuse. We should never be celebrating or undermining someone's abuse, saying that, they had it coming because they chose to engage with a black man. Not only could that be perceived as a slight to black men, even though the reality of black femicide is kind of undeniable, but mainly it's seen as, like you're saying, that they had this bad abuse coming for them because they chose to engage, or they chose to have a relationship with someone who had a lot of power, is mischaracterizing a lot of the people involved. Okay. And we don't do that here on this channel. Now, if someone is wrong or they have, you know, talked poorly about someone's phenotype, obviously that needs to be addressed. But on this channel, it will never be addressed by, trying to make that woman feel as if she is not pretty, or trying to make that woman feel as if she has a poor choice in partners. Yeah, we're not doing that. This is also seen in, one of the clips I think you can find this on Exoticals United channel because it's since been deleted. Where Chrissy is talking about a light-skinned woman that walks into a salon, and there's basically an argument that ensues. And I'm not defending anyone. I'm not saying that the light skinned woman wasn't wrong because I don't even remember exactly what happened. But what I am saying is that there was excessive aggression in Chrissy's response because she started to attack the woman's hair, and we all know that hair is very sensitive for Black women, and also her features, which were very Afrocentric features. She had a wide nose. Her nose was about as wide as her mouth, but she happened to be light skinned. And Chrissy called that woman ugly, all kinds of things. And this is a form of excessive aggression. I was on another content creator's live and I asked, hey, why do people feel comfortable making fun of or making jokes about Black women with light skin? And that content creator basically responded, I don't know, maybe it's because of like all of the like past years of like colorism and lighter skinned people being preferred in our history. And I think that it's important to understand, you know, our history in that way. I just think it's a misuse, and we abuse our history, and we kind of taint it when we use it to invalidate or to oppress another group of people or another shade of people. We should not, it's my opinion that we shouldn't use the history of colorism to further perpetuate skin tone discrimination against light skinned people. That is not fair, and it is excessive in aggression and unreasonable. If it weren't, we wouldn't have laws in this country protecting us from color discrimination within the same race, even. And if you want to know more about that, just check out my video about Alice. I believe her name was not Alice. Her name was something else. Oh my goodness. I can't remember her name because she had like a name change. But there's a video where I talk about a light skinned Black woman who basically went to court because she was being discriminated against on the basis of her color by other Black women. And while she didn't win her case, there was a ruling that was made, and the Supreme Court judge made a ruling that made it very clear that color discrimination within the same race is it is a violation of Title VII. Okay, so go ahead and check that out if you're interested. And that concludes just kind of the overview of how our culture is contradicting self-compassion and discourages us from engaging in self-compassion. Again, if I have time for some short clips to show examples of this, I will include it. But let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so the biggest thing that I want you to remember from this is that self-kindness is an element of self-compassion. Okay, and when people are trying to use excessive force to correct you or to hold you accountable, and they're being very aggressive, and they're trying to humble you, and they're trying to tell you all of these bad things about yourself, they are trying to program self-hatred into you, which is like the opposite of self-kindness. They're trying to get you to hate your existence, hate the fact that you're a light-skinned woman who thinks that she's pretty. Okay, so self-kindness is when you're warm and you're understanding towards yourself, even when you fail, even when you feel inadequate, even when you make a mistake. Rather than ignoring your pain, rather than ignoring yourself, or de-selfing and criticizing yourself, you can be warm and understanding of yourself. There is a way to have accountability without shame. So it's okay to feel guilty, but things go wrong and we lose the ability to show compassion to ourselves when we start to internalize shame. Like, I'm so ashamed of my phenotype that I wouldn't even dare say that I love my light skin. And if that's something that you struggle with, please check out my affirmations video about light-skinned Black women. It's basically for light-skinned Black women, and it has a lot of affirmations that may be very difficult to chew because you may have been programmed to believe that they're taboo to say out loud. But I love to see women loving themselves, regardless of their race or their skin tone. I just want, so let me show you, let me go to the next slide. Everyone is okay with this. Next slide. Everyone is okay with this. Everyone is absolutely okay with a Black woman who looks somewhere along the lines of this loving herself. Okay? But why are we not okay with a but what's wrong with a Black woman who looks somewhere along the lines of this loving herself? Why is there such a scarcity mindset towards who can love themselves, who can feel pretty, who can feel confident, and somehow it's all being drawn back to women comparing themselves to each other. It's very male centered, you know. And I remember there was a talking point from one of Chrissy's channels that she used to do early on. This is when her content started veering away from corrective promotion for dark skinned women and towards talking about light skinned women. And I was starting to feel kind of bad listening to her videos because she was talking about how non-Black women, don't see Black women the same as they see each other. And there's no such thing as all women. And listening to that content, I started to internalize that a little bit. And I felt a way when I was around non-Black women, and it took me to stop listening to her content, which I'm so glad that I did, to realize that yeah, no, that's not the mainstream thing that's going on here. Women are out here really supporting each other, and between all races, especially when you have the LGBTQ community as well. I've been in so many environments where I have been uplifted by women who did not look like me as well. So I don't want anyone to feel as if there is a scarcity of self-compassion. There's plenty of self-compassion to go around within yourself. All right. But thank you so much for watching, beautiful light-skinned ladies and all of the other exoticals who tune into this channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. And let me know which of these 3 elements of self-compassion you feel that you'd like to emphasize more of in your life, or in your mind, or in your spiritual practice even. Let me know what your thoughts are, and thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next week. Okay. Wow, I can't believe I did that. It was so easy.